How I Became a Marketing Director with Hamid Yaz. Another business story. The year's about 2009, and I'm transitioning out of the whole YouTube and capturing footage and content and from downtown Austin and such, and putting it online, to now wanting to be doing more professional type of work as far as radio commercials, television commercials, but I didn't really quite know how to do that yet. And I'm driving down the road, 2009, and I hear this commercial for this rim shop. And I was like, First thing that popped into my mind was, now keep in mind, this is 2009, so this is, 10, 11 years ago, whatever it is. Yeah, 11 years ago. No, 12 years ago, I'm sorry. And I hear this commercial, and I was like, they're spending money. Because radio ads aren't cheap. At the time, we didn't really have no YouTube ads. There was no Instagram. Facebook ads, I think, might have just come out. I don't remember. But either way, no, Facebook ads weren't even out yet. So what I'm saying is, your only really method of, mass communication to your advertising to your people would be through mainly more like radio and television outlets. So I told myself, hey, if they're spending money, let me hit these people up. Now, keep in mind, I also had a television show, a local television show, which gave me full access to the equipment, and I could take it out. I could pre-record episodes, run it on TV, for a 30-minute segment. However, there were commercialism clauses to where I couldn't make it look like one big commercial. So I had to be real careful on that. I made my way around it many times, made a lot of money with it, but, I also had to be careful. So I put my plan together, got my paperwork, my numbers and such, how many times my episodes run. So I said, let me go and approach these people. So I drive up north. I was living south at the time. I drive up north and I'm like, hey, look, how much are y'all paying for your radio advertisement? The old man wouldn't tell me. I was like, come on, man, just tell me. He was acting stupid. But keep in mind, this is a guy that's been selling rims for like 30, 35 years already. Super OG, very well known in Texas. He'd been, selling rims for decades. Anyways, he wouldn't tell me. And I said, okay, look, I got a proposition for you. I've got this television show that the majority of my viewers are the people that buy rims, or will buy rims. So this is what I can offer you. I can come in and I can do a 30-minute episode just on your shop, and it's going to cost you $500. And he's like, 30 minutes for $500? Keep in mind, this is too good to be true because it's unheard of. And I was like, no, I'm serious. Pulled out the laptop, showed him some of the previous episodes, showed him some clips. I've showed him my numbers. He can expect to run about 5 to 10 times. If it's a pre-recorded episode, obviously, 5 to 10 times within about a 6-week period. And so it kind of started making sense. He saw it was legit. I wasn't just some random hustler that walked in trying to jack him for $500 or whatever. And I said, but we have to do it a certain way. He was like, well, what do you mean we got to do it a certain way? I said, look, we can't make it look like one big commercial. So this is how we're going to go around it. We're going to be shooting here at your shop. Now, we've got the swingers, there's the blades, there's all these, racing rims, all these other, all these different types of rims that he sells. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring each individual one, not each individual one, but, various styles, and we're going to talk about it, and you're going to educate us. Keep in mind, 12 years ago, educational marketing, okay? I talk about that a lot if y'all pay attention to what I say. Educational marketing. Why are these rims light? Why are these heavy? Why are these aluminum? Why are these made out of steel? Why are these made through a mold? Why are these made handmade? So he finally agreed that it'll be a great thing for his business. We ended up doing the episode. Everything went cool, and there was a small clip. Okay, now my plan was to leave it alone for about a month, let it have its runs and such, and then follow back up with him. Well, what I did was within a week and a half, I think same day or the next day, I had got a clip of a segment we did on some swingers. For those that don't know, swingers are a very iconic Texas rim, the ones that poke out, and it looks like a Dayton almost, but they poke out, and they basically swing. You'll see what I'm talking about. And I put that on YouTube, on my YouTube. I still had my YouTube channel up, and what I did was I put their phone number and I put their name. Well, make a long story short, I get a phone call about a week and a half after it went up, and it was Jack. It was the shop owner. He says, "Hey," I was like, "What's that?" He said, "Did you put something on us? Put something about us on the internet?" I said, "What?" He said, "Did you put something about us on the internet?" Now I'm kind of confused. I'm like, "Oh man, I sound like I'm in trouble." I said, "Well, I was kind of like stumbling a little bit because I wanted to say yes, but I think he was pissed." And I go, "Yeah, just a little." He said, "Dude, that shit worked. I don't know what you put, but get your ass into the shop." So I'm like, okay. So I get to the shop. He explains to me that, he started getting orders from, across the country. Now, keep in mind, Jack is no stranger to money. Jack, that I remember, I bought some rims from him in 2001. He had and I questioned him about this later on. He had an operation of 12 people answering phones back in the early 2000s because he was advertising in Lowrider magazine, Mini Truckin', full page ads in all these magazines, and he was selling rims all over the country big time. He was doing right under $1 million a month back in those days. But obviously he's gotten older, he wanted to scale down, and he got tired of so much, so he scaled his operation down. So anyways, now with, I think it was UPS he was using, where they give you the machine, you can print out the label, you slap it on the box that already came in, the UPS guy comes and picks it up. It's a much streamlined, much more easier and efficient process to do business, and you don't got to do, but bottom line, it was a lot easier, is what I'm trying to say. It's a lot easier. There's a lot more detail, but it's a lot easier. So he told me, he said, "Hey, what's this whole YouTube thing?" And I explained to him about YouTube. So we worked out a deal. And by the way, we did very many deals. I became the marketing director, but I never became an employee. Okay, I was smart because I always did it on a project type of basis. However, the way we did it was, I think the first run might have been like 10 YouTube videos, couple $1,000, whatever it was, for shooting and editing. Now, remember, this is 12 years ago. Then, because I had the hookups with all of the promoters, doing the Slim Thug, the Charlie Boy, the Trey, the Zero, doing all of these concerts, I had full access to the stage because I was always the one in Austin that had the big cameras from the station. So I was getting clips of that and putting it on his YouTube, and then putting the new website, getting a commission off the website, still doing the local, Univision, Telemundo, BET, VH1, Spike TV, True TV, still doing the hip hop station, still doing La Zeta and all that, the Spanish radio. So this one thing that I approached him on became, Hamid, you have full access to make as much money as you can for me. You know the streets better than we do. Now remember, he knew the streets, but I knew how to talk to the streets. He was just the old guy, the old guy. I was a young, cool, edged up, whatever, ball fade, that I was already in the streets. So I knew how to talk to these people. I knew where they were at. I knew the language and so on. So yeah, it was crazy. I remember going to Houston with tens of thousands of dollars with him in our pockets. We've got guns on us. We're going to, Greens Point. We call it Guns Point, to go pick up some product on a flatbed trailer. We don't know who's going to rob us. But man, those were the times. He ended up passing away about a year into our relationship because of the fact that he had some kind of cancer. His wife ended up passing away 6 months later. They were married for 54 years. Very sad story. But one thing I respect about him is he was the very first person that gave me full creative control of an entire business. And I think he was doing at the time, well, he didn't really tell me, but we had to fill out some paperwork for something we were doing. He goes, just put $3 million. So I was like, okay, I guess we're doing $3 million a year, $5 million a year. I don't know. But anyways, Actually, I don't even remember. I know it was in the millions, but it was in the low single digit millions. But he was very vague. Maybe he's Persian. Who knows? On his actual numbers. But with that one thing of somebody spending money, and by the way, for all of you young hustlers out there right now, a lot of y'all see people spending money on, nowadays it's Facebook, it's Instagram, it's YouTube advertising. It's the same thing. Approach them. They're spending money. They're spending money. Figure out what you got to do to get part of the mix, because they're already putting money into someone else's pocket. How can you get that money into your pockets? It's not that hard. You just got to have a good plan of action. Mine was, for the moment, it was a fantastic plan, but then it evolved, and we both made a crap load of money together. So that's just a quick business story of how I became a marketing director.